No.
We all know who's going to jump in here.
Now I've said his name twice.
What?
Once more is
Are you guys
required.
cursing us?
Done up.
By the way, we're live.
Hey,
everybody out there on the internet.
Curse this.
We don't actually. Welcome to another episode of Push to Talk. Hold it. Mist says he doesn't have the beer virus in staff chat. I don't know what that means. Get him some limes. Get the boys some limes. Limes
he doesn't have the beer virus, but he does have Lyme's disease. So you know.
Lyme's disease. Is that the like?
So his lungs are fine, but his brain is completely smashed.
Does that mean he's hanging around Mama Rosa too
Sounds
much?
about right.
Do you guys have Mama Rosa's lime juice up there in the?
No.
Mama
What are you
Rosa's
talking about?
Mama Rosa's is a sweetened lime juice. Works perfect with kamikazes.
I mean, we probably have sweetened lime juice somewhere, but
Mama Rosa's.
Well, I mean, Dirk, we might. I don't know if it's on the shelves right now, though.
no, it's probably not on the shelves right now.
Ironically, that's actually one of the things that seems to be missing from our local shops. The alcohol section was almost completely sold out, but there was like tons of toilet paper. So I don't know what kind of message the Danish
everybody's
people got.
realized. Everybody's buying stuff that's up to or past or close to 70% alcohol for some reason. I don't know why.
I believe it's something to do with the purity of it somewhat helps.
I do believe that we have to throw in an endorsement for Tito's here.
No, we can't.
Prophylactic capabilities.
Tito's Reserva Special that's over 70%.
Dirk, we can't do that.
Or 140 proof.
You know what's going to happen? Somebody's going to create a vodka drink now called the Prophylactic. You know that's if it doesn't exist, somebody's going to make it now that you said that, right?
I mean, this sounds like a really good thing, but I mean, we all know that the vodka drink that is known as the Prophylactic is literally just shots.
Explain this to me.
I'm not so sure because I'm pretty sure shots have probably created more kids than they've prevented. I'm just saying.
I mean, nobody's saying
right.
Nobody's saying what it's a prophylactic against. Just that it is a prophylactic for something.
I'm looking over here. I'm like, I have the, because Tito's made in Texas, right? I have the bottle of Tito's that I have to open. The next bottle is it's wrapped in like an American flag burlap little sack. It's very cool looking. It's over there over there is the alcohol area.
He has an area.
I have a whole set of shelves. It's very. I have a bottle of Booker's. If you guys know what that is, Booker's.
I mean, if you're on about
bourbon,
no, okay.
Signed by Booker No. And I just
not
can't.
Booker T then.
I can't drink it because the great grandson of the guy who started Jim Beam, I think, signed that. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not a bourbon guy, so
it's alcohol. After the third or fourth or fifth Tito shot, do you really care? I mean, really?
There are some standards that must be maintained.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, if you're quite tipsy, but you're looking for that like first shot experience of the night, like, and you're already pretty tipsy, then you should just try like a single shot of absinthe. That
I've
that has that
never
experience.
had absinthe.
Absinthe's quite nice.
You like that?
I
stuff,
do
huh?
like absinthe.
It
I've never
depends.
had
Are you
Eh.
like shotting absinthe or like having absinthe the way that like it's been said that you have to like kind of do it?
Why not
I mean,
both?
both? Yeah. Both
Like-
is good.
If I just want to get hammered, I just shot it. If I want to enjoy it, I have it the way it's supposed to be,
Which is
with
the-
like water and sugar on a spoon and shit like that.
yeah.
I have never had it.
The real stuff doesn't make you walk on ceilings.
I mean,
Here
wasn't
comes
that kind of a myth,
connoisseur and
the real
explains
stuff?
what it actually does. Make sure that you are prepped and have read up on all the modern CSI technologies before you actually do that.
So, all right, gentlemen. Heard stories of the contrary on that. I just want
to point out that walking on ceilings is impossible without some specialist equipment, so absinthe's not making you do that.
I mean, it might make you think you're walking on the ceiling, Derek.
That wasn't what was said.
I'm not debating. I'm just saying it might make you feel that way.
See, look at that. We got liquid cocaine. We got everything being listed up there. So, welcome to the alcohol segment of the Push to Talk show. And
Starting out
pre-show-
early on that one.
Pre-show was the taxes for stupid people content, and
Well, taxes for stupid people is a very good idea.
yeah. So
I mean, that really doesn't do the conversation.
which
justice.
we're not going to go through that on the live show, but I was laughing. It was hilarious. So I was away at training all week, so I didn't get to see, and I'm going to be away out training all next week too. It kind of sucks. So I didn't get a lot of updates on the World of Eve because I was just so beat and tired after it.
no.
You know, what's shaking?
CCP Ratatouille is making silly changes potentially that could be good, but it's one of those bits where this could be good, but he needs to have the planning for the changes that are going to be happening over the next while for it to actually come out anywhere close to the way he's going to want it to.
Okay.
certain.
So we have changes that are dependent on other future changes to making them all work right.
And it's also dependent on certain CEOs keeping their fingers out.
I mean, I hate to use this word on this show again, but I seriously hope they have a roadmap.
Don't say the R word, Jesus.
And by the way, this is where Caleb apologized.
You're gonna have to explain that to the audience. What exactly is a roadmap, and what does it do?
At this point, I'm not entirely sure what a roadmap is in CCP terms, nor what it does, but I do know that they did show us at EVE Vegas last year a roadmap for making a roadmap.
I would like to
So-
ask everybody in the room right now to stop R-bombing. Thank you.
So, it's
Well,
been
because
that
you
long
guys
that
are
I
Brits,
forgot
right?
what
You're,
one
you're
of them
used
is.
you're used to the ordnance map, and what CCP is basically trying to roll out has more in common with the Mappa Mundi, right?
I
It's the
Very
weirdest
true.
reference in the world. Swear to God.
I kind of picture it like this, right? So you go into Google and you say, "Hey Google, directions from New York to Los Angeles across the United States," which would be a crazy freaking map, and you say, "By the way, I want you to go up to North Dakota, then down to Texas, and then up to Wisconsin," and you give it all this crazy things, and then CCP just gets in a freaking hovermobile and hovers across the country and ignores the route. That's what
No,
that's what it
Eric.
sounds like to me. What?
No, because we've got two different maps. So the CCP option is handing someone the UN logo and just drawing a line across the US portion.
Wow. No, but basically, there's been like these two interviews this past week, right? Last weekend, we got two rather good interviews. One maybe a little bit more relevant to us than the other. So basically,
Did
you got.
you get anybody to talk about those here? Did you?
Sorry.
No, I'm just gonna try to catch people up that actually didn't follow last week, right? So we got the Muppet Hunter and not Ratatouille, but Ratati interview on Talking Stations, and then Ratati also appeared on Declarations of War in a solo performance where he basically was grilled by the guys there, which was a lot more detailed and very interesting in his ideology and where he comes from. And they got a little bit of his backstory on Dust and Nova. So basically, two things that I would actually go and watch if you guys haven't. It's really worth the time. It's some of the better interviews from developers in a long time.
Can I just first up, I have to denounce that last statement entirely, because the best interview a developer has done in a long time was the interview that CCP Masterplan was gracious enough to do with Horrendous and I earlier this year. And just secondly, can we really just real quick delve into the fact that Caleb suggested that the TIS interview was really good?
Sure,
It was.
Dig
It was fairly good. It was. It was not too much soft cushions, and they did actually talk a lot about their direction and their intention.
There was some good information, Caleb, but it was full of softball questions.
I mean,
not really. They were given space to actually talk about what they were doing, because they can't go into specifics right now because this is a long rollout.
So what?
If you listen to Declarations of War, you basically got the idea that this is at least potentially an 18-month plan that Ratati is supposed to be rolling out. So you can't give too many details already. He was giving a clear direction of what he wants to do and why he wants to do it, and I thought it was fairly decent. It was not as detailed as Declaration of War, but you couldn't expect that because it was trying to do two different sides with two very different devs.
it doesn't matter if you can expect it. You can still ask him the hard questions. I mean, we asked Convict the hard questions when he was on the show, right? We didn't expect him to have answers to that.
But
sorry,
this
Convict.
is not the fluffy cushions crowd. This is the actual hot iron crowd. So if they ever come on here, and I'm hoping that we can actually convince Ratati to come on and do a special where we talk a little bit more details than were done in the other two interviews. But I think they gave a lot of information of what can we expect and how are they going to fix the abundance bullshit that we've been seeing for 5 years. And I'm actually trusting that they can actually deliver some of it. Of course, it's still going to be CCP, so they're going to stumble and fall on their face in one way or another, but at least they're going to try to fix the core problem of the game.
Are they?
Yes.
Because I believe that you still believe the core problem is the fucking market, which is it is not.
It's not market. It's the ecosystem. The market is just a reflection. That's just what tells you exactly what's going on. What?
I'm waiting for Fight Club to start. Go.
God, we don't talk about that, Eric.
Sorry.
The point is that someone in CCP finally realized that, with the exception of RMT services, so Plex and Next Shop stuff, everything else in EVE is supposed to basically come down to Tritanium. It's supposed to be resource-based. It's supposed to be a player versus player, not necessarily shoot people in the face, but everything is supposed to be with players interacting with other players. And that has been completely undermined over the last 5 years of design thought. I don't know if that is intentional or just ignorance, but someone completely lost the plot and started making this whole overstocking of everything just the new normal. So everything was already replaced before it was destroyed.
Well,
I'm saying nothing about like skill points for money here.
I think CCP has done a number over the last 5 to 6 years, a number of small or medium large missteps. They're all sizes, and each one of those steps, be it arrogance, be it poor game design in one facet or another, marketing to make money that really didn't further the game. Each of those steps, we can see that CCP has lost two things. One, the confidence of players has eroded, each of those steps, and number of people logging in has dropped after each of those steps. So CCP is walking down the stairs with the decisions that they're making. It has nothing to do with the game's age and things like that. It has everything to do with their missteps. If they start making the right decisions, those metrics will go up. The only metric that is going up for CCP is income. That's a metric that they love, by the way, right? Income's going up.
And the one they should love and focus on.
But people playing the game is going down. Okay? We know that. And so eventually it's just like, people who watch the stock market and watch different indicators. When the people logging in indicator eventually gets low enough, guess what else is going to come crashing down behind it? The income. So they've got to start making some good decisions. And they've got to start rebuilding player confidence. And I got to tell you, step number one, stop being so goddamn arrogant as a game designer. That's step number one.
I mean, Eric, just to go back onto your point about the income coming crashing down, it's the age-old question, right? Would you take half the amount of profits per year, but for 25 years, or double the amount for 10?
Yeah, it's a business decision, right?
Yeah. Personally, I think CCP should be doing half the amount for longer. Right? Because the longer the game lasts, the more it's going to build up anyway, which could mean it goes further.
But it's a little bit difficult when you think about what industry they're in, because they're not, their competitors or their colleagues in the industry are not used to thinking like that. What do we have?
Yes.
Like a handful of games that actually do long strategy stuff when it comes to fixing or balancing a game. There's only 3 other games out there that has fundamentally been running as long as EVE Online. So when they're talking to their colleagues, they hear all this almost pump and dump. Let's just get in there and make some money fast, right? The mobile game market being the most extreme right now, and then of course all the Skinner box psychology mumbo jumbo crap with loot crates and whatnot, right? So it's very difficult to navigate through that and remind themselves we have to think long term and do exactly what Bart just said. Rather go long than short.
Well,
I mean, it surprises me. Sorry, Eric.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But for a company that keeps touting EVE forever, and we're not any other game design company, they seem to be acting like every other game design company.
Yeah, but I think part of that, and this perfect segue into what I was going to say, Dirk. Was that Dirk? I don't know. Who's talking?
Bart was me.
Bart. Sorry, Bart. Is very few games have been in this territory before. Right? So it's a little bit of uncharted waters how to maneuver through this from a business perspective, right? I mean, most games are like, I picture most games in terms of stock market, pump and dump, right? Pump the stock and then we dump it and we're good. And by the way, we're going to release a new version in a year. It's like, what is it? Madden football, like on Xbox, right? Every year you're getting a new Madden football and you're shelling out another $60, $70 for it, right? And that's their way of making their income, right? Whereas EVE, we're modifying the game and it's continuing to grow and people love it and all that stuff. They're in uncharted territory.
And it's a bit like the difference between running a business based on a lemonade stand and running a business that's supposed to make bourbon or high quality whiskey, right? It's a completely different thing whether you're just doing get it to market and then just sell it, or something where you actually have to prepare and plan for next year and next year and next year, and then figure out how to then price all these things. Yeah. I think CCP has a very unique position that they maybe need to be a little bit arrogant and say, we can only do this ourselves. Let's stop looking at what other companies are doing, because even though that might be relevant for the whole Ludo mechanics, so gameplay and what is entertaining, of course they can get ideas from that. But when it comes to actually running the company and the business, they might actually be alone on the top of the mountain.
But it's hard. I mean, that's easy to say, but when you're in the business conversation, right, with your owning company and things like that, sometimes it's hard to make the case for that, right? You have to make a business case to win that argument. The other thing is, I'm going to ask our audience to do something. We don't often ask our audience to do something, but since Brisk can see, because he's working on setting up the meta show stuff, everybody say hi to Brisk in chat for me, please. Because he's not watching the stream, he's just seeing the chat stream as he's setting up his client. So, maybe you heard me.
You just bombed Brisk. Wow.
Because he's a nice guy, you know. We're saying hi. He's a good dude.
No, but it's funny because I've been having a few talks over the last week with people, right? And I always keep hearing this. Okay, I'm going to use the term summer children, right? People that's only been here for a few years, and they keep talking about let's make EVE 2.0, or let's scrap everything, or let's reset everything, right? And this just points to traditional pen and paper role-playing games when you've power creeped way too much and pretty much destroyed the game, and everyone just says, let's make new characters and start over. That's fine. You can do that around a table. But when you have a player base of about 500,000 dependent on what you are servicing, right? You can't do that. It just wouldn't work. If you restarted EVE Online, even building something really useful and very well programmed, it would never become EVE Online again. So you can't do these things. This whole let's reset everything and there's a simple solution and let's remove asset safety. All of these things are just, well, it's understandable that people argue like that. It's just that it's not going to work. And fundamentally, EVE Online from day one, 2003 till now has changed so much that the games in those different eras have nothing in common with each other except for the name and a few ship models.
And the history. Because
Yes,
that's the other thing
that's
you
the important
lose
one.
when you do a reset.
Yeah,
You're
have you-
effectively wiping that history away.
yeah.
Fuck
and-
asset safety, though. Like, fuck
Well,
that shit.
when you talk about like things like EVE 2.0 and stuff like that, right? I'm not sure that really ever works, right? I've seen a number of games, like the first really kind of cool MMO game, like video that I played was Asheron's Call, right? And then they did, Legacy or whatever 2.0 was, and like I was like, nah, right? I don't want to play it. And I think if you did EVE 2.0, I'd be like, eh. I don't know.
I've
By the
only
way,
ever seen one game pull off a form of reset like that, and that was basically WoW Classic.
yeah,
But that was because the majority of the player base wanted the nostalgia.
yeah, and so that was a good thing, right? But
It
and by the
also
way,
wasn't a
full
full reset.
disclosure here, I did buy like 15,000 Plex a couple days ago.
Oh god.
All right,
15,000.
yeah,
Whale.
Is that the correct number that you're trying to say there, Eric?
it's a little bit higher, but yeah, it's yeah, I think it is, yeah,
This is where we need the whale sounds from open comms.
Oh my god, yeah.
Dirk,
yeah.
it's
I
a little
did.
higher.
I did. because I'm seeding some things in my corp. I wanna get them a little more active, so we're gonna use that to seed our corp. 15,400. Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
You're right,
you see,
Chris.
I was going to say you just dropped to 0, didn't you? When
No.
you say little higher.
No. It was because they had 15% off, right? So I grabbed it and I said, "Hey, I'm using that. I told my directors and my recruiting guys. I said I want an incentive program for PAPs and recruiting, and let's use some Plex to do that internally. So they're coming up with their plans. We're gonna figure out how to do that, and then hopefully it becomes self-feeding. But I seeded it. So, I'm definitely... So if anybody ever thinks that I complain a lot and I just really hate EVE and I'm mad at CCP, that's really not true. I just really want them to fix things, and I want the game to succeed, right?
So what
I
you're
think
saying-
everybody here... By the way, I think everybody here is of that. No,
Yeah,
so-
this has been our line for what? How long now? We don't necessarily want to be criticizing EVE if they
Yeah.
do something cool, like the return of these filaments,
Mhm.
for example. Like
Is that...
this
I
is stuff
gotta-
that's getting
Is
people
filaments
excited
cool? Are
again.
filaments cool? Because I
They're-
don't care.
Filaments
They-
are iffy.
They're getting
They-
people doing things, which
They are
is
cool, yes. As you say, Joe, they're cool because they're getting stuff done. My only concern is we shouldn't have had the need for them in the first place.
Yeah, but these things are
Okay.
happening. I'm happy to acknowledge that these things are happening. I just want them to be better and to constantly be looking to improve rather than this kind of slow decline that we've been in for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's slow decline.
I honestly think that CCP should consider rehiring Darius Johnson.
Oh my god.
No, because seriously, right? The goon motto of not here to ruin the game, but to ruin your game. You could flip that around, right? And then Darius would basically run or suggest to CCP that they start focusing on fixing the game instead of fixing individuals' game.
What is he even up to nowadays?
I don't
He's
want to
running
know.
some sort of cyber security stuff, isn't he?
Like,
Buzzwords.
No, I think he was in some sort of IT security business. But it's just very telling, right? Because this is what people have an issue with now, that finally CCP has actually put some people and some thought into fixing some of the core mechanics underlying everything that will influence everyone. And everyone is afraid that their game will be disrupted or destroyed, but they don't even know that yet. So even though it feels in the short term as if something has been disrupted or destroyed, if you look at things at a longer time perspective, that should actually fix itself and actually boost most people's play style, especially if they're not like complete fucking AFK-ish lazy people. People that play actively will benefit from all these changes coming in.
By the way, who the hell is Helldown, Don?
But Caleb, the problem is that for people who enjoy the whole war shit, you know, the whole thing about metagaming and all of that crap, there's really no reason to be active right now. Like,
No.
CCP doesn't have to give active people something to do. CCP needs to give people a reason to become active again.
No, I'm just trying to explain that when it comes to things like balancing the entire ecosystem and the underlying economy, I've been having chats with some of those crazy high-end wormhole types, right? And we started talking about this whole problem with...
You said high-end in wormhole.
Well, okay. The people that are very dedicated to wormhole gameplay, right? And we were discussing things with the problems with the fact that at the moment, wormholes are proportionally printing way too much ISK into the system, and it's really a design flaw that we get all this blue loot bullshit, right? So we were basically discussing this thing of what could be removed from wormholes so that they would be more specialized, right? And ironically, it's all the little guys that have problems with getting these faucets turned off. The more dedicated guys can easily understand that if you turn those off, the value of what is left is going to go up. So if you turned off the ISK printing, if you removed the easy access to say minerals, and you then had to dedicate your activities on Tech 3 stuff, right? Then Tech 3 stuff would get more valuable proportional to what was lost. And this would be a good thing. All the differences in space will improve the game.
The thing is, when you take what's currently going on in wormhole space, it becomes obvious why the smaller groups don't like it and why the larger groups like it. Inner Hell are basically evicting everyone else so that they can monopolize it. Where is everyone else going to get it from? Because Inner Hell...
Monopolies or oligopolies is a good thing in a game like this, right? Because as long as there is ways to disrupt it, it's actually going to create emergent gameplay. This is what we got from OTEC. This was what was amazing about that period, that you could do stuff like that you did have actual bottlenecks, and you did have actual, at least, resemblances of scarcity and impact on when big fights happened.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, when you look at it, you can see where they're coming from, because it's basically killing off their ability to do it, which means they may get locked out of getting stuff, which could deny them content in wormholes because they can't actually fight.
Well, in an ideal world, you would have something equivalent to almost monopolistic situations where Tech 1 would primarily be high sec and low sec. Tech 2 would be pretty much almost exclusively null sec. and wormholes would be all the Tech 3 stuff. And then it's a discussion of how to balance things like influx of stuff like loyalty points that goes on faction and all that stuff, and then ISK printing, right? Where does these things go? And I still honestly believe that you should have the ISK printing in HiSec from what would be very player versus environment oriented players. So they create the actual ISK, and then that flows on to the more active player base, and that becomes the prize finding mechanism. And it's kind of what we used to have, but it's completely been undermined.
Sorry, Soth, I got type.
I mean, there's a certain amount there that makes a lot of sense, and then there's other bits where there's not really sufficient distinction in my mind to warrant that. So, like, there's not enough sufficient distinction, like you said, high sec and low sec. There's no real, or there's not enough distinction in the way that T1 works, even under Tiericide. There's not enough of a distinction in the way T1 works to allow for so much space to be the primary producers of those types of modules.
No, and I think that's why it's a good thing that we finally got a guy on this post to actually take a look at all of these things and figure out, okay, what did we actually lose over the last 5 to 8 years with the design choices that were made? Hashtag Rorqual, hashtag anomalies, right? What went wrong? How did that disrupt the interaction between players? And can we somehow get back to some of the things that were in the game before that? And can we do it in a new and novel way? Because we don't want the horrible designs from past years, right? Because a lot of it was pretty much cancerous. But a lot of the fundamentals were really good. And I do think that Rattati has his eye on that and values the things that we lost, and can actually try to start doing something similar.
By the way, before you go, Soth, I want to say something. The stuff we used to have in the game 5, 6, 7 years ago was so freaking cancerous that we had more than twice the people that would log in on a regular basis to play that cancerous game. Just saying.
Hashtag bring back Dominion.
I mean, Eric, clearly they were all here for the toxic attitude of the player base, right? And all that doxing.
Absolutely. No, they were here for the structure bash, and everything. No, let's put it this way. When you look at what CCP did, and then I got to let Soth go because I did interrupt them. They took away going after structures strategically for income, right? And they replaced it by putting people in space that they thought would get blown up. Right? So they took the whole fleet battle strategic plan, go after it stuff out of the game for people like to make money. They just took it all away. I mean,
it goes a bit further than that. I mean, you are on the right track, but it's not that we don't have, reasons to go and shoot each other, right? It's a game, we want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What we no longer have are the conflict drivers. And by conflict driver, I don't mean a reason for Alliance A to shoot Alliance B. By conflict drivers, I mean things that are so valuable that it actually leads to people within an alliance to fight over it. I mean, just look at how the CFC got broken apart. The CFC didn't get broken apart by literally the entire universe allying against them, us, whatever. It got broken apart because one of the alliances in the CFC decided we deserve more money.
In fairness, there were other factors to that cry that were not, necessarily due to them just wanting more money. They were actively getting fucked out of money by one of their finance guys. But, you know.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
hold it. They refused to believe it. And
Well,
they
yeah.
blamed the people who were telling them that, and they couldn't understand why they couldn't make money, and they didn't believe that was happening. Therefore, they were demanding more things that they didn't deserve because they couldn't manage what they had. Right? Those are all the internal conflict drivers that cause those things to happen, regardless of what they were. Yes, CO2.
I don't think Lorne have had money issues ever.
What?
I don't think Lorne have ever had like major money issues.
Blades
Well,
of
they
Brass,
had
though, right?
they had serious money issues at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're basically the old leadership got basically ousted due to money issues.
Oh right, yeah, the whole Blades of Grass schism. Yeah, I forgot about that for
Yeah,
a second.
yeah.
I try not to think about the Volpines too much.
Well,
But
the
see-
Volpines were basically victims of basically a like their money man basically fucking up, and then like one of the other guys basically like using it as a reason to coup.
It's
but-
always the money men.
But do you see my point? Like, you
Yes.
can say an alliance or a coalition, and people can give you an example of this infighting because of money happening. And we don't have that any longer
Hell,
because we switched from top down to bottom up.
hell,
Right.
soft. We had it in Provi when I was in Provi. Certain entities were
but-
funding the groups around it. No, listen. Certain entities within Provi were funding like HTP and that at times, or other groups doing dropping on the down low to basically take R64s or high value moons off of other Provi groups on the sly.
Right, Providence is like real life Afghanistan.
Oh yeah.
I just want to point out, we did the math on Provi's R64s and R32s and found out that like 30 to 40% of all of that was just disappearing somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Just saying.
disappearing.
just bottomless holes that exist in various places, and you know, people get
I mean,
annoyed and they start fighting about it. And sometimes they'll go, "Okay, the best way to deal with these disappearing money issues is the CO2 way, which is we want more stuff." Sometimes you get to go and fight over that and like take more space, but other times.
I
just
thought you were
go
gonna
out.
say like cut the head off something and some or like, cut the head off people and see where the money is in there or not. We tend to like to do that
Back
as
to,
well.
to the value of things and how to get an income as a big organization. I think CCP has never really gotten around to figure out that big organizations need to get money from a source that is not a raw material, right? They are not the prime producer. A government is getting taxation, and that's liquid money, right? You can't eat liquid money. You can't shoot liquid money. You have to actually use it to trickle down and then utilize it, right? We've always needed some sort of good top level income bracket.
Yeah, but Caleb, in a democracy, in a stable kind of in a stable system, yeah. But some like what people are kind of saying is like we need some of those unstable kind of like psychopathic kind of groups that own their own diamond mines.
I mean, how many democracies do we have in A? Like the last one I know was AFCON, and they died pretty hard.
The point is that no
like-
monster or tyrant is flipping burgers or making pizzas or anything like that. He gets money from racketeering or from taxation or from rent or anything like that, but he can't actually do much with that. It needs to be in the form of ISK or extremely high, not very fungible assets. That's not a direct utility. The moon. The R64s and stuff basically flipped that on its head, and it was a little bit of a mistake. What we need is CCP to create an income stream for the big organizations that makes sense in the design, something like taxation and services. This is what you need as an organization to then be chip king on ISK. That's where you want to be, not on raw materials.
God, so I'm just watching. Sorry, I'm going to sidetrack slightly. I'm watching this chat in Twitch chat about democracy or authoritarian stuff in corps and alliances and EVE. I could swear blind under corp management, there is still a selection box that never got filled out over what type of leadership a corp has.
Well, there's always a create like shares and send shares to people.
Yeah,
So,
no,
like,
no, I mean
everybody
under the
everybody who has ever actually like run a corp knows never to send shares out to people.
No, I'm on about there's
That's not
actually a
true.
checkbox there.
It's democratic, right? That's what with the election
Yeah,
power.
That's not true, McLeod.
You do send
anybody
shares
who-
out.
Well,
anybody
yeah,
who's
you're gonna
ever
say
sent-
you can always send shares to me.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I get you.
Well, no, there's
No.
actually a really interesting thing here in the way the Imperium is set up. Because, and this was apparently a conversation that was had, at various times. But, there is a plan for what will happen in case Mittens ever gets like hit by a bus or whatever. I suppose the current joke would be hit by coronavirus, but we'll not really get too far into that. There is a plan in place for what will happen, who will, take up what he does, and there's also effectively a contingency, because obviously Mittens has direct control of our holding corp. There's actually a corp shares contingency for effectively deposing Mittens as the executor of the holding corp that is run and designed based around the share system.
I'm presuming it's one of those that you can set up where, so long as he logs in and notices, he can veto it straight up. But in presumed scenario, he's not logging into veto.
There are a small number of directors that also have roles in the holding corp and have shares, and X amount of those directors have to agree that this is going to happen in order for it to happen.
Oh shit! So it could genuinely turn out that those will all agree behind the scenes, and
It's highly unlikely.
It's highly unlikely, but hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically speaking, it is possible.
It's mechanisms of government, right? And if you think of real
sure.
life, right? You are 4 years in a row. You're not living under a democracy. You're living under an elected tyranny, right? So, and it's the same in EVE. Everything in EVE is fundamentally democratic. I think Mittens have once said, well, it's a perfect democracy because everyone can actually vote with their feet, right? That is how democracy in EVE works. You choose who you want to be your leader by actually shifting to a different group if you are dissatisfied, right? So,
Exactly.
so this whole thing about who is governing and what mode of governing, it's all pretty much democratic because there is no serfdom. There's no one that can lock you down and say you have to stay with this group and you have to pay your taxes in this way. It's very anarchic in that sense, right? So it's really just about how do you run your organization in the interim of voting.
Yeah, and that's why when people say, "Oh, there's no democracies in EVE," it's a case of actually there are a lot of democracy. Basically, everything's a democracy in EVE. It's not a direct democracy. All you do is you vote with your feet, not vote with like how you want things run.
And as Sus says, this ties into the whole metagame stuff and the shenanigans and the politics and the cultures and all that stuff. That maybe is one of my favorite things about EVE. That these things need to be meaningful, right? Because that is what creates the different drama, both from group to group and internally in the groups, right? And this means that we need to have kind of points of failure that make sense. And we have to have these internal greed and distribution and control mechanism back in place. And for that to happen, We need a meaningful ecology, and we need a top income driver, something that can feed the organizations from the top level, so they have some sort of incentive and control and can figure out who gets what powers and influence.
Right, looking at the clock, I warned you guys I'm going to go on a rant.
Here you are, baby.
Go, Soth, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 3/4 segment Soth rant section. So there you go.
We're in
Right.
the third quarter.
So,
Well,
don't
fourth
get me wrong, this is not a big problem. This is more of a little thing that would be super easy to solve that I have no idea why it hasn't been solved already, because it's fucking aggravating. I am talking about the check for the integrity of the game files when you start the launcher. It happens for me about once a day. I start the launcher. The problem I have with it is you start the launcher and the integrity check goes in the background. It's another window that goes in the back, so you don't even see it. You can't click in the launcher because it is blocked as long as the integrity check is going. So you don't know what's happening, and you actually need to click it away once it is done, even though there's only an OK button. Like, why is this a thing? It should be in focus, and it should just close automatically when there's no problem detected.
When did we agree to allow Sothersil to talk about the most minor of minor irritations regarding EVE Online?
I want you to understand.
It's the new little thing segment.
Soth can do whatever the hell he wants at any time. That's my rule.
Someone had to take up the
Don't
little
tell him
things segment.
God, he really will take you up on it.
That's why it's a fun group.
The solution is, Soth, if you actually need fixes like this, you just write a very angry tweet to Kakur.
I might actually do that, but
I bet it would actually work.
but actually, like, write him a PM on Discord.
Sorry, just to be clear, does Kakur even still work for CCP?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
It's been that long since I heard the name.
Mimic left and went into real life politics in Iceland, as far as I remember.
That made me sad, by the way. Made me sad.
All right, I gave you a minor bad thing. I'm going to give you a minor good thing as well. Those new healer skins are amazing.
And Carneros, we would never say anything negative about Kakur or Mimic. They are amazing.
They do some fantastic work.
I don't-
Or did some fantastic work, and
I don't
like.
And yeah,
Carneros.
Carneros
He
is
doesn't come on the
right,
show
it wasn't-
anymore. Very bad.
No, it was Puncturis.
Yes, it was Puncturis, so yeah.
Yep, Puncturis. Yeah, Puncturis.
And they
actually-
are all amazing.
I
Each
hadn't
in their own
tracked
way.
that CCP Puncturis had gone.
Yeah,
I missed that happening.
She went for politics.
Yep.
Fair play. Good luck. to her.
I don't know how she's done.
I think she got in. Pretty sure I heard that she got in.
And in the meantime, we've just been killing Eric here.
Sorry. Apparently, no. Apparently, I can't drink water.
That's why you should have a beer, Eric.
Clearly.
That's
Clearly.
the thing, guys. Like, we can't remember any names unless we give people, like, funny nicknames. Like, that's the reason why we call...
Ratatouille.
Yeah, that's why we call him Ratatouille, because we couldn't
Ratatouille.
remember the name otherwise.
Yeah, it would be so much
Switched
easier if
around.
we had an actual org chart that we could look at without too much information.
You know
At
what?
least it's
Actually,
the CCP name.
I brought this up at an editorial meeting for INN, like probably 4 or 5 months ago now, and I never actually ended up doing anything about it. But like actually having an org chart of just like, you know, the main faces, you know, the people who
You need
are like being well, not necessarily on the front lines, but on the front lines, you know. And just like their dev name and their, you know,
Well,
job title.
Crap.
Do you see Brister Schmonz there?
Make it
Brister
ourselves.
Schmonz?
I do appreciate the issue there, but you know, maybe the request would prompt them to make one. I might actually I might ping CCP Convict later and be like, "Hey, dude, so is there any chance of this?"
He's in our
I
staff
think
chat.
it's going to be. Sorry, I think it'll be hard to do one though, right? Because the sheer amount of different teams that the lower level devs are
We don't
on
need
is
that
just
anymore.
a
No.
fucking mess.
No, we don't
We just
necessarily.
need what's on record, right? Their name, their Twitter account, and maybe even their LinkedIn. It's not that difficult. We can pretty much find all these things ourselves and have done like for ages. So why can CCP not just release that for us and make it updated all the time?
Yeah, it's just one of those things of like, this guy is in this role and this is his dev name, so that when you talk about them, you know who the fuck you're talking about. Instead of us having the question of, okay, was it Karka that left, or Mimic that left, or Puncturus that left, and which one's involved in politics, and which one's doing what now, and blah.
And who
it's
was
just-
this guard dude? And yeah.
Don't you ever. No, Caleb.
Wait and see. There's going to be generations coming very soon that's
No.
going to have no clue who God was.
We cannot allow this.
Well, when you mentioned the name like Soundwave, half of the fucking chat has no idea who he is, and that's just tragic. So it will happen. Wait and
Hold
see.
on, wasn't that one of the Transformers?
God. The why do I talk to you people?
Because it's a roller coaster ride every fucking weekend.
That's what it is. It's a roller coaster, baby. You know, if you don't like the roller coaster,
Tough shit. Because
That
you're
that
strapped
was
in.
Actually that
I'm
was.
not sure I know how to get off anymore.
Yeah, I know you don't know how to get off. No, that was a Steve Martin movie.
What, the roller coaster?
Yeah, well, it wasn't called the roller coaster, but that was kind of the theme of it. And at the end, the woman who's his wife, you know, she likes the roller coaster and he doesn't, and it's the roller coaster of life, essentially, that they're talking about. All the crazy things that happen to you throughout your life. And he liked
like
everything
being
predictable.
in this chat channel right now.
Absolutely, this chat channel, everything that we do, our pre-show, everything. It's, you know, I gotta tell you, probably this.
I've got to say, Soth, I think I prefer CCP Sofa.
CCP sofa. Oh, you know what? I did get a new desk chair, and it feels like a wonderful sofa. I'm just telling you.
We haven't seen anything from CCP Cat for a long time, and
Or CCP chat.
or CCP,
CCP
Cat.
who?
CCP Cat.
Oh, CCP Kitter. Was it on
No,
Twitter?
CCP
or
Kitter.
is
The,
it-
the CCP cat. That was Guard's personal cat, though.
I think it was Falcon.
Not Guard's, Falcons.
It was Falcons,
I'm
yeah.
mixing names.
Yeah, that's Falcon's cat. But now it's fine. It's fine actually because we have CCP Parasite now, or I think it was CCP Bug Report, depending on what you preferred there.
Just to clarify, Derek, does he have a character in PL or PH? Because that would be
no,
perfect
no.
finish of-
You've missed this. Oh, you've missed this. Okay, you're gonna love this.
Oh god.
I'm gonna drop a link in a second here, guys.
It's not really
There's-
where I
there's
thought you were
the-
going. I'm glad you went there, but yes, that's nice.
There's the link in Twitter,
Oh god. Okay.
and there it is in staff as well. Welcome to CCP yet to be decided, but I like CCP Parasite or CCP Bug Report. So,
CCP
yeah.
Nightmare.
Just for a bit of context here, CCP have a big aquarium in their office, and well, in their offices, and there is actually a CCPer who basically has this aquarium as basically part of their office wall, and they were clearing out the aquarium a little bit in order to facilitate them moving to their new offices, which is happening in a couple of weeks, I think.
Oh, they're moving to new offices. Okay, so CC
they're moving
Tornero
over to
said it's the
the-
largest saltwater aquarium in Iceland. That's pretty amazing.
Nice. But yeah, basically they were cleaning out this aquarium, and suddenly this thing was hiding in the coral, apparently, and
Not
so yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much aquarium stuff you guys have done, but that's not uncommon when you buy live rock for saltwater aquariums. Little things hitchhike in this live rock. You just don't know what is on all of it.
I just love these replies that Convict's posting from a Slack group. What do you mean it got away? I lost sight of it when it scurried into the air vents. And if the worm has been here 8 to 10 years, does it get a sword?
Now, what would have
damn
been
well
cool
better.
is if they found that thing from Alien. That would have been cool. Maybe not. Sorry. I'll be quiet for the rest of the show. I'm sorry.
But yeah, somebody suggested that they should call it CCP Bug Report because it's been there for how long? They've only just been told about it. This seems pretty
They can get really
consistent
big.
for CCP.
It's long has been there for 8 years, and you just found it.
Yeah.
Spaghetti code.
It sounds like postcode.
Well, you know,
CCP legacy code. Since you have no
remember-
idea what it does.
8 years after they remove pauses from the game, we'll find one somewhere. I'm convinced. Maybe not. Why do we still have pauses? Does anybody know?
Because they've not quite reached feature parity yet, and so they can't rip it out.
No.
Also,
they said they've reached what
They-
they want. They said they're removing it in winter. They haven't removed it in winter, and it's basically spring.
They don't. It's not quite there on feature parity
No.
because
I
yeah,
agree
but-
with you. I'm just
So-
saying what CCP said.
So
But
should
yeah.
we call this thing CCP postcode, considering it's wrapped itself around everything?
I mean, that seems
Ooh.
pretty like fair, honestly.
Or should we
CCP
call it
legacy
this?
code.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go, Soth. Perfect. CCP Legacy Code. That's what it should be named.
But yeah,
Wow.
Somebody tell
something
Convict
Alright.
in staff chat.
that thing absolutely needs to get a sword if it manages to
So
stick around for another couple of years.
So I got a new computer at work, and it seems a lot of people put stickers on it. So I'm going to ask you guys in the audience a very serious question because I am actually torn. People put all kinds of stickers on their laptops now, I guess. Should I put the B sticker on mine?
Yes.
Yes, no.
And tag everyone else's.
You said it's a serious question. I mean,
Yeah,
the answer
I'm
to
actually
that is clear.
I'm very serious. I'm torn. I don't know whether I should or I shouldn't.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
I thought it was mandatory internal policy in Goose
All right.
that
Briss
if you
says,
have
of
the
course.
chance, you should put fat bees everywhere.
All right. So I got a lot of training things to go to. With that laptop will go with me. We'll see if we find any other goons. There's got to be some, right?
No, you probably get tackled to the ground by PR.
Yeah. Oh, look at Daddy D. What are you doing already? By the way, I have never put stickers on my laptops.
I was quite
Everybody does.
surprised, but I know there was. Oh God, who is it I watch? Everyday Astronaut, if you guys know him, does all the rocket launches and stuff. One of his ended up on a laptop up in the space station. You know, Eric,
Nice.
you just got to hand the fat bees around and see if you can get one up there as well.
That's cool.
What did a fat bee make it into the station or something?
No. His logo for his channel. I'm just saying you got to try and
Oh.
replicate.
Somebody should give the Space Pope Fat Bee sticker and ask him to put it on the next like Mars rover or something.
Yeah, the
which
rules
is yeah,
on that.
which just
baby.
got named. What is it? It's Perseverance.
Although, what would be cool, so you know when they put those Mars rovers up there, you can put your name and info on them, right? They put it on a little chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, microscribed or whatever they do, right? That would be cool if you could microscribe a bee on one of those. That would be nifty.
That would be cool.
Nifty. That'd be cool to put the bee into space. So yeah, so I don't know. I'm torn. I'll let you guys know. I'll take a picture of it if I do it. I'm still torn. So we are right at 2:00. Let's do our one last thing. Go around the room here. Actually, I've got to pull up so I can see Discord on my screen. It's got so much going on. It's big.
Eric,
big...
can we go bottom to top so I have time to think?
Yes, we will do that. Soth, can I have your one last thing, please?
Honestly, CCP, if you would have put as much work into the old skins that you have now put into the healer skins, I would have been less on the fence on skins, because the new skins are amazing. Like, thank you for that.
Cool. That's a good. I like that. McLeod.
There is a way of boosting your immune system if you're wondering. I will link it in chat.
Oh no.
Does it involve Tito?
No.
No, it doesn't,
Check
but I've
what I
linked it.
pinged you earlier, Caleb.
But it's worth considering. Let's put it that way.
Why?
Dirk.
I just really want to see a fat bee on Mars. To be perfectly honest,
I kind of do too.
I'm kind of taken with this idea.
I am now too. Caleb.
I'm just waiting for any news on when we can get Ratati on the show and get him to tell us how he's going to fix my game.
Who's that?
Sorry, you want him to fix your game? I thought earlier on we were talking about how we wanted CCP to fix the game and not individual games, Caleb.
I'm being
make
selfish
your
here.
mind up.
Very selfish.
I'm being selfish here.
So selfish. So selfish. So Eve-like too, by the way. I'm gonna do my one last thing. CCP Convict should do what Sothrasil said and name it CCP Legacy Code.
Oh, can I just change mine?
Sure,
apparently
go ahead. Sure.
Aerith found someone in CCP at the summit that actually understands economics. So I'm just looking forward to maybe hearing who that could be.
Okay.
Lol,
Interesting.
McLeod got modded.
Jesus Christ,
The link was
McLeod.
too spicy.
You're a Twitch primer dude. I mean, seriously?
No, this was check politics in Discord.
Oh, our politics?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in there.
I'm going to try it and see if I get modded.
You'll
my-
get modded.
You probably will.
I
Nope.
did not get this.
Nope. All right, fair enough.
So,
So how does that work?
I guess my final thing here is Twitch chat just proved that I'm better than McLeod. Sorry,
Oh,
McLeod.
Terrible.
Brutal.
Terrible. So mean.
And this is not news for any initiative member.
They just
Why
just
can't
know
we-
that I'm a troublemaker.
Why can't we just be friends? Jeez.
Mac, why didn't you say that this is not news to you and yours? You've known this forever in initiative, haven't you?
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired.
What?
Isn't that the whole point of the reach around? It's some sort of immunosystem booster.
Caleb, this isn't your Chatterbait channel, all right? We talked about this earlier, all right?
Well, none of what I just said makes sense unless you actually click the link.
All right. A lot of healthy nerds. There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
Definitely.
There you go. So, unfortunately, you guys are going to... So, I need some help from you guys next week. staff guys, right? Okay.
I was wondering what you're
I'm
going to be
gonna
asking there
like
from the night.
training all week, like deep. I need you to tell me next Saturday all the good stuff that happened in Eve as a result of this show next week.
So,
As a result of this show?
I
Yeah,
can
it
tell
was
you the
nothing.
results
Nothing.
in a head, Eric.
Oh, what's it gonna
Jack
be?
shit.
That's funny. All
It's
right.
fine, Eric.
Wait a month. Yeah.
You're not gonna understand that unless you click the link.
Unless I click the link, I can see what's in the link. Maybe I don't want to know. It's scary. All right, folks. That is another show for the week. Don't forget, you have Brisk and Mittens coming up in 2 hours or so.
And
With the
definitely
meta show?
the Meta show tonight's going to be really interesting. He's got Brisk and Mittens have Merc, Aerith, and Denomina on to talk about the recent CSM summit.
Ooh, that's going to be fantastic. That'll be great. Look at that. Look at that. Brisk got it in there.
And you
There he goes,
and
baby.
intentionally forgot to mention Aerith. It's just is
He
that
said
because
Aerith.
he's one of those high sec puppies.
Yeah, he's a high sec guy, right? Nom Nom. Oh, Nom Nom's going to be there too. All right,
Yeah, Nom-
it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I think that's going to be a great show. I am very interested in watching that show.
I'm super hyped for it. I think it'll be really interesting.
Well, I like it because I've got my TV converted so it can play Twitch, right? So I just go in there on the big screen and I just watch them like they're like a real TV show because they are in this house. So there you go.
You hear that, Brisk? Like you're on the big screen now.
He's been on bigger screens with more people watching him than that. He's a big dude.
I would make a political comment, but I'm going to
Nope.
refrain
There's
here.
no political comments. He's on TV. Woo! All right, folks. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Technically, in the U.S., well, we'll be an hour earlier, right? Spring forward. It happens this
What?
weekend.
No,
In the US.
no. Clocks are not going forward already. Time has not passed that much.
Spring forward.
Isn't Canada getting rid of that this year?
Yes, this is their last one, I believe.
We need to get rid of it everywhere.
I agree. I don't disagree with you, but you know, Ben Franklin, he's a powerful man. It's the way it happens. Okay, you gotta work it out. What is it, Bernie? I don't know what's going on in chat. I give up.
I don't know.
Later, everyone. We are out of here.
Don't pay for the permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
Complaining about the fact that he received no support from that. I think Bode has some.
Yes, I
some
do.
leaks for us.
Oh, I got some leaks for you.
It's like simple shit like that. No, simple shit like that. If he can't answer that, publicly,
I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That one was a fucking amazing setup.